It's barely one day into the Australian Open in terms of the first round matches, and we are already looking at some fairly significant upsets. Jack Sock, who was a person that I had predicted could go as far as the semifinals to meet Nadal in the semifinals, has already struck out of the tournament in a four-set match. And that is really surprising. I'm going to have to modify some of my predictions in that regard. In other news, let's see, the other upsets are on the women's side, which I'm not going to be covering a whole lot, but Venus Williams is out in the first round. Sloane Stephens, the 2017 U.S. Open champion, is out in the first round. Kevin Anderson, back to the men's draw. Kevin Anderson loses to Kyle Edmund in the first round of the Australian Open in 5 sets. Kevin Anderson, as you will recall, was a finalist at the 2017 U.S. Open. Any other? Ryan Harrison just kind of inched by and barely made it through against the Israeli qualifier in 5 sets. That was good to hear. Let's see, other things that happened yesterday. Dimitrov basically crushed Novak in a 3-set straight set victory. Marin Cilic was able to get by Pospisil in 4 sets, and so they are now advancing. Now today, the matches have been even more interesting. Let's see. Tsonga is looking very good against King. He prevailed in a straight set match. Nick Kyrgios looking very good, prevailed in a straight set match, I believe against a qualifier. Rafael Nadal crushed his opponent, the Estrella Burgos, and is looking very, very strong. And we have more matches coming up later. It's going to be very interesting. But my revised prediction for the semifinal in Nadal's half of the draw. Oh, and Isner is out too. John Isner is out too. So we're getting a number of like top 15, top 20 players and a couple of top 10 players out. I guess, I wasn't fully aware of the Sock injury. Apparently had a knee thing or something. So he was, I should have known a little bit more about that, but it's a disappointment. I expect great things for Sock in the future. Andrei Rublev, the Russian, the real young Russian, also made it through in the first round. But my revised prediction for the semifinal in Nadal's half, obviously it's not going to be Nadal versus Sock. Basically, I'm going to have to look at this right now based on what Dimitrov just did. He looked real dominant. He was just, he was basically impeccable. Kyrgios looks really good in his too, but it's going to be a Nadal versus Dimitrov semifinal, a repeat of last year, which is what my prediction will be right now. And that's the one I'm going to stand on here on Monday in place of the Jack Sock versus Nadal. Kyrgios, we'll see how it happens. He's the other person that could get into a semifinal with Nadal. But again, my revised prediction in light of the Sock upset will be Nadal versus Dimitrov in the semifinal, which is not too controversial, actually. So then there's going to be some other great matches coming up today. I will keep you updated. The only other piece of news that I wanted to report, there's a story that's been reported that Novak Djokovic, in a players' meeting, which involves some ATP officials, but then Djokovic and his people asked the ATP officials to leave, and Djokovic started sort of rabble-rousing, started to try to convince the players that they need to unionize and they need to increase the share of the prize money that's allocated to the players. And that apparently this was greeted with a mixed response. Rafael Nadal has reportedly stated that it's not a bad idea to talk about unionization, but got to wait till after the Australian Open. So here is my point about this. I mean, why would Djokovic do this? And Nadal is right. I mean, why do it on the eve of the Australian Open? Well, maybe the opportunity presented itself. They were in the meeting and Djokovic wanted to do that. But I am... McEnroe has John McEnroe, the former champion and now announcer, has stated that Djokovic's problems over the past year have been as much to do with his psychology as his physical ailments. So what we have here is a situation where there's some evidence here again that Djokovic is not quite thinking right. I mean, this was a little strange. I mean, after coming back, he's been off the tour for months, and now he's going to come back and he's going to try to start a revolution. With respect, and then there's the point of, I mean, he is the second highest. He has the second highest prize winnings in all of history. Prize money has doubled over the last few years. I mean, this is actually notorious how much the prize money is going up. Well, I guess when you look at it as a percentage of what the tournaments make, well, it starts to look a little less. It's like it's less than half of the revenue or whatever. Maybe it's 30% of the revenue. So Djokovic is thinking, oh, let's get more of that money. That money is ours. But the reality is that these prize money has gone up really kind of exponentially. And folks, even that are not top-ranked players, are making a very good living on the ATP tennis circuit right now. You make plenty of money just by getting to the third and fourth rounds and quarterfinals of some of these matches. So it's a little strange, and I am going to say that my predictions have gotten a little darker for Djokovic in this Australian Open, because this, again, it suggests that he's not firing on all cylinders coming into this tournament, and that he got a mixed response might throw him off as well, because people didn't know how to respond to this. So it was a little ill-timed. It was a little untimely for Djokovic to do that. Those are my 2 cents. We'll see how Djokovic does. I wish him the best, but again, it doesn't seem like he's thinking right. The psychology of this coming in is important, and you need to be thinking clearly. Nadal is right. It was not a good time to bring this up. Djokovic should be focused, and it shows that he's not focused. He's thinking about all these other strange issues that are really strange in light of the fact that he's got so much money. He's won so many tens of millions of dollars, about $100 million. I mean, Federer just surpassed him as the leader in all-time prize winnings. And Federer doesn't have much on him. Djokovic could catch up to Federer, but it's a very strange, a little bit off-putting scenario that you have with Djokovic trying to unionize on the eve of the Australian Open. Very strange. We'll see what happens with Djokovic. Again, I'm not optimistic about Djokovic in terms of the psychology of this coming in to the Australian Open. So that's what I have for now. I will post more later as we hear more about these matches. Remember to subscribe to Tennis Talk Daily. Talk soon. Bye.